So what position did you play in cricket? Were you you're a bowler or a batsman?
Both.
Both.
Both, yeah.
Oh, all rounder. There we go.
All-rounder. He's an all-rounder. Welcome to another edition of In the Box Seat with myself, Warren Lenferner. I don't know what to call this man on my left anymore. I don't know. He looks, I don't know. We'll get to him in a moment. What can we call you?
Andrew would be nice.
Andrew would be nice. Andrew, spelt Grumpy. That's how it's spelt, Andrew. Our guest for today's podcast is Rahiel Radhakrishna, who is the new face and voice on Gold Circle Television. We welcome him to the podcast for the very first time. Rahiel, how are you?
Well, thanks, and yourself, Warren.
All good, thank you. Yes, great to be at Summerfeld at the clubhouse, glorious clubhouse. What is the matter with you? Was it the traffic?
It was the traffic, but listen, we said you're going to start at 8:30. It's now 9:10.
Yes.
I bust my arse to go through all the bloody traffic.
Yeah.
Back roads, dirt roads.
Okay.
And we sit there and bloody talk rubbish.
Yeah, but life's too short to be punctual. Life's too short
Luckily
to
we
be
live in
punctual.
Africa. Yeah.
Absolutely. Whenever I'd say to the team, like we're doing a TV show or something, I say, we're starting at 9. They know to expect me at 9:10. I arrived at 9:10 the other day. They said I was early.
Yeah, well, at least we got our own back on Tawanda because he's usually late.
Absolutely. Tawanda's late. And talking of Tawanda, Vinga Media and his team, lovely to have their team up here at Summerfeld to see what horses are all about and learn about the industry.
Yeah, Tawanda's expanding. I see he's got so many bloody helpers he won't have to do any work soon.
I think that's his mission. He wants to drink cappuccinos and to have prawn cocktails while the staff are doing all the work. Okay, so you're just grumpy because you're just grumpy.
Yeah, man, I've got a sore wrist and I'm just grumpy.
Show us what your wrist... Nice to have Andrew Harrison, of course, with us all the way from Ashburton, and he is grumpy, but we're going to make him a very happy chappy today. Rahiel, welcome to the show, and first of all, you've started working in horse racing. You love horse racing, but more importantly, your colleagues that you work with, how do you find them? Grumpy, mad, happy?
All good so far, all happy. At times can be grumpy, obviously, when you punt a horse and they don't come through, but that's part of the game, but otherwise it's all good.
Okay.
He's only just started.
Yeah, no, he'll get used to grumpy guys like you. Let's talk about you, because you're the star of the show. The first question is, how did you hear about horse racing? When and where and how did it all start for you?
Well, it started with my dad, so he introduced me to it. I wouldn't say he told me, okay, yeah, this is horse racing. He just took me to a course one day, and that's basically it. But I've been told, I can't remember much, but from the time I was a child, he used to take me in a car, baby car seat, and to the tote, and he would just leave me there while he does his thing and stuff. So my mom was like, who would have thought, from that young days you'd be where you are today, and you'd be so involved in the game. But it's good, and yeah, it's through him and stuff like that.
So he was a bad influence then?
You could say that.
It was a bad influence, but a good result.
Yeah, well,
good result. Anybody that gets involved in horse racing and is influenced to love the game, it's just brilliant. Okay, obviously, I know you're still young in the industry, but thus far, no regrets. You're loving it.
No, it's all good. I'm loving it. The experience is great. Great people to work with, and just super onwards and upwards from here.
And your dad, you say, is still actively involved. He comes to the course often, and he loves his bets and he loves his horses. And you're saying you're a family of 4, and you and your dad are the racing ones, and your younger brother and your mom are not interested.
Yes, it's just my dad and I.
Okay.
Yeah, against them, but they're slowly getting on board now that I'm involved in the game and part of the Gold Circle team, so that's good.
So what do you do in your spare time?
Study form, watch racing. I do study part-time, but basically racing.
Just basically racing.
Yeah.
What are you studying part-time?
I'm studying business management.
Okay.
Elaborate a bit on that. So tell us where you're studying and what business management's all about, etc. Tell us about that.
So I'm currently studying at Mancosa, and it's going well so far. Enjoying it. hoping to become an entrepreneur one day, own my own business, and hopefully it goes well.
Well, business management, at least be able to manage your finances.
Tell me, so it was through your dad that you heard about horse racing and where it all started for you. But the question I'm trying to ask is you were always at the races, you were always watching racing, having a bet, etc. Did it ever occur to you that you might one day like to work in horse racing, or it might, that you might take up an offer in horse racing, or was it all very sudden?
It was a bit sudden. I didn't really give it much thought. Just enjoyed the game, watching the horse run and the race itself, and especially just taking a bet on a horse that you fancy and on form. Sometimes it's good finding value, and especially when they come through, it makes you feel good when you win. And so I didn't really see myself in this position. A few months ago, if you asked me what would I be doing in November, December, I'd say probably staying at home. I wouldn't say I'd be working for Gold Circle. So it's good that I've taken the step and just moving forward from here.
Rahiel, you did a bit of work with Neil Andrews for the Clocking the Gallop show. I unfortunately haven't seen those shows and never discovered you through those shows. But tell us a bit more. How did that opportunity come about?
So I think it was during March earlier in the year that I emailed Neil Andrews and approached him about the opportunity to be on their team, and he gave me a call and told me, we can give it a try and see where it goes. And then from there it started. I did KZN meetings. I did a few Cape Town meetings as well with Neil and Nico, and it was a good experience, good exposure. Helped my form studying, improved a bit, and it's good. I think that it helped me come out of my shell in a way, because I'm usually a shy person, and so I think it definitely helped me and brought me along the right way. And if I don't say, I wouldn't say if I didn't do that, I don't think I'd be here. I wouldn't have been brave enough to come forward and do this. But I think it's good that I did have that exposure, and it's all good now.
Let's talk about those two words, brave or bravery and shy, because you as you've just admitted, you are a bit of a shy person, but this is a kind of industry that'll make you not shy.
Yes, absolutely. I'm an introvert, as I'd say.
You got to be a pain in the like Warren, otherwise.
Yeah, you gotta have a hot
We'll
skin.
ban you from this podcast if you continue hurling.
Please.
If you hurl obscenities at me like that again, minus 10 points for you, you old goat. You're correct. So I can already see in the couple of weeks that you've been with the team that already you're coming out of that shell, which is it's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing.
Where do you live, Rahiel? You and the family, where's home?
I'm currently based in North Beach. I enjoy it there. Been living there for the past 11 years.
Okay.
Love it there. It's basically home.
Well, you got a shad stick too.
No.
Okay.
You're a good fisherman. You love.
I'm
your
not
fishing.
good, but I like it.
You love fishing. Are you and your dad and any of your family enjoy fishing?
No, not at all.
No.
Fishing's not our cup of tea.
Yeah, so I agree. What do you enjoy about fishing? You go and sit on a boat and you bob around with I suppose it's the beers that you enjoy.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not a bloody pubgoer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm active.
You're active. You're
Active fly fishing.
Okay, all right. School. Let's talk about your schooling. Where was your junior primary and your primary school? Tell us about all the schools you went to.
So primary school, from creche days to grade 3, I went to Prestige. That's just on 6th Avenue.
Okay.
And then from grade 4 to grade 7, I went to Clarence Primary, which is across the road from Greyville. And then my high school career, I went to DHS, which is an all-boys school, and known for the cricketers.
Now tipsters, yeah.
What is your school? You went to that funny school. What is it called?
I went to a decent school. Just leave it like that.
Okay, we'll leave it like that. Now,
At least it wasn't Belgarn High.
when I say funny school, it was everyone seems to give their schools different names, funny names, Let's talk now about your family. I think it's important that we touch on your immediate family. Tell us who they are, how they are, what do they do.
So I have a brother who's smaller than me. He's 14.
But so you beat him up every game.
I try to. I must admit though, I get in trouble for it. So yeah, but it's great fun. We have an unbreakable bond, and that's really good. From I'd do anything for him, and it's likewise. He's smaller than me. Goes to Eden.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in grade 9. He's going to grade 10 next
What's
year.
his name?
Raheel.
Okay, and your mom and dad, where do they work? Do they work?
So my mom and dad, they work at Technostar Auto Body. So in the automobile industry, and they absolutely enjoy it. They've been in there for most of their life.
Okay.
And so it's good. There is the stress that comes with it, but so good. They enjoy what they do. So yeah.
You've recently had a birthday.
Yes.
Tell us and tell the viewers how old you are, how old you've just turned. When was your birthday?
So I recently just turned 19 last week Thursday, the 11th of November, and it felt good to turn 19 because normally when people ask you, oh, how old are you? I'm so used to saying 18
Yes.
that now I have to change it. I'm 19, you know. So gotta get used to that.
Somebody said to me the other day, they said, who's that youngster that you guys have got working there at Gold Circle? And he is a youngster, and it's good because we need young blood. He's a legal age, he can work, he can earn an income, he can do all that, and he's certainly, but I think it's good because we need as much young blood as we can get. Not that there's anything wrong with our old blood, I'm just saying that we need generations coming through, you understand my point?
Yeah, no, we definitely need some new blood coming through, and it's hard to. Racing is such a complicated game that it's quite difficult for the younger generation to actually pick it up because it's much easier to sit in front of a TV with a remote and yeah.
You know, speaking of younger generation, as you mentioned, it is hard. Most of the younger generation, they just want to party, go out, drink, get drunk, or do drugs, or things of that sort. They're not into racing, the horse itself, and
sports, I
and
suppose.
sports, yeah.
Sports.
I mean, some of them they'd be into soccer. I mean, lots of youngsters. Indoor soccer is a must every week, but most of them, horse racing is not really a cup of tea. I mean, I brought a few friends a few years ago, and they weren't really into it, and up till now they don't really take a liking to it. But
soccer. You just kick the ball around. I mean, and the rules are pretty simple, except when you dive in the penalty area, so it's fine. But I mean, racing is complicated. So the more you know, the easier it becomes. I mean, it's like everything in life.
And that's what, sorry to interrupt, that's what makes it so difficult to get people to be interested in the game and to love the game and to learn about the game, because it's, I mean, as Raheel said, I also brought people, and over the years, 50 people, maybe 15 of them have got involved, the rest haven't, so it's difficult. But
yeah, for the average person, they just watch a horse race, and it's a bit like Formula One. You just watch them go round and round and round. You think,
yeah, but there's so much behind.
There's
the
so
scenes.
much behind the scenes. Yeah,
it is.
maybe watching those Formula One shows with Martin Brundle and those sort of blokes, and they explain it quite well. I think maybe if horse racing, we can do the same. Try and explain to people how it actually works.
Yes.
It's not just 10 or 12 horses jumping from the pens and running to the line as fast as possible. There's tactics and all sorts of things.
Jockeys have to get weight, and all sorts of things. The trainer has to give the horse the right meal, and the right feeding. So
there's a lot more to it, and I think we can make it a lot more interesting.
But I think you're 100% right, but I think there have been some lovely shows that the teams have done, shows of shoeing of horses and interviews. But there's plenty more that can be done, because you could never run out of content.
Yeah, I know, but I was just talking about my son. I mean, he had no interest in Formula One at all. And then they came up with a few shows, which they watched, I think, on Netflix or something, interviewing drivers, where they came from, how they do, what they think, and now he's blooming addicted. He sits up at 9 o'clock at night watching the end. I couldn't be bothered.
Okay. Also, how do I put it? You've also, over the past couple of months, you talk to people and you say, well, would you like to get involved in racing? Would you like to be on our podcast? Would you like to try and come present on TV? Would you like to, and they're interested and they're passionate people, but the bottom line is it's hard to, not everybody's got that racing jargon and that racing knowledge. And for me, the only advice I can give, if you're learning the game, is to, I know not a lot of people who got spare cash, but try and have a little bet. That's how you learn the jargon. Have a place bet, have a win bet, or what is a quartet, and you learn what it's all about.
Spoken like a true punter.
Yeah, no, because the point I'm making is to find people, like in Rahiel's case, who knows the jargon, knows the lingo. There's not many of us around. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, you're right.
Okay. talk to us about your hobbies, other interests. You mentioned cricket and cooking, and tell us all about that.
Yeah, well, I enjoy baking. Baking's a nice thing. It's not always takes time, but I do enjoy it. Do it with my mom, even spend time cooking with her. But cooking's not really my thing just yet. Getting there slowly. Hopefully, I want to be able to make my own meals, and I won't have to depend on having someone to do that for me.
Yes.
So that's really important. I enjoy playing sports. Very active person. I enjoy soccer, tennis. Formula 1 is nice to watch. MotoGP as well. Yeah, and I absolutely love cricket. Cricket's one thing that from small I always wanted to be a cricketer and play for the Proteas one day, but obviously those dreams have diminished and gone down the barrel. So it's all good. I enjoy horse racing. I love it. So I wouldn't do it for any other thing.
So is it T20 or Test?
I love test. I must say, a lot of people find test boring, but there's so much more to test cricket than...
It's like horse racing.
Yes, there's so much more tactics. Test cricket is different class, I must admit. Yes, T20 cricket is fun because
it's just hit
in
and
a
giggle.
ball, in an over, the game can change on its head. But test cricket I just enjoy red ball cricket.
Did you played at school?
Yes.
Cricket, okay. And you said you were going to go overseas or something.
Yes. So when I was in grade 11, we had I'd call it the third term holiday tournament, where it was an under 17 sort of tournament. So under 17 boys from my school and other schools as well from the whole country, I think.
Okay.
So we played against each other, and from my team there were a few of us that got selected to go to Sri Lanka the next year. And in my matric year I was meant to go to Sri Lanka, but there were some fights and stuff and riots and that happened during the period, so they postponed it to November, and that was during my final exam. So I gave that a miss. I said I'd rather pass matric than worry about that, and luckily I did, because just fell in love with horse racing through lockdown last year, got more involved in it, watching it more, and now I'm here.
So what position did you play in cricket? Were you you're a bowler or a batsman?
Both.
Both,
yeah.
Oh, all-rounder, there we go.
All-rounder, he's an all-rounder. Now, preparation for a race meeting. Obviously, everybody studies form differently. Some people are strong at studying form, some people are not so strong at studying form, some people are good at assessing horses in the ring, etc. So everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, but I think around the table, everybody, you join as a team and you can contribute in a big way. We've noticed that your form studying is very good and your form analysis is very good. Tipping, sometimes tipping's good, sometimes tipping's bad. You had a good day yesterday, so you tipped half the card, 4 out of 8, well done.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yes. 4 out of 8, which is good, Some people say, no, it's not good, 8 out of 8 is good. Well, I don't know too many people that tip 8 out of 8.
Yeah, well, I know, I should have got 6 out of 8, but there's a couple of dodgy trainers who get annoyed when you tip their horses to win, so I tip them seconds.
Okay.
So people who know me, be careful.
Tell me, how do you prep for a race meeting? Do you, obviously the final fields come out, do you go and print your book straight away? Are you online before the book comes out? How do you prep, and what are your techniques for studying form?
Don't worry, I'm also upset, like you with yesterday, frustrating. But that's horse racing, I guess.
Yes, the both of you went for Paul Lafferty's horse. You tipped.
Sniper shot.
Yeah. I thought yesterday was his day.
I don't know, he just doesn't, he can't crack it.
Paul was telling me, a millionaire, that horse was just short of, it ran third. If it ran second, it would have taken Sniper Shot's earnings to $1 million.
Did it not run second?
No, it was third.
Yeah.
That's a bit of relief, because I hate running second. So at least
it's not a relief. He lost like that much.
So how do you prep? How do you prep for a race meeting, or what do you do building up to a race meeting?
I generally do print the computer form, go through the card, see the horses. I look at ratings. I know Sheldon's a ratings guy, so I do look at ratings. Then I look at the horses, see if they're well placed in the race. Look at their form. Obviously, watch replays of their last run, see if they were unlucky or what happened. It was a bad ride, which happens a lot of times. But that's generally my preparation for it. Then I go through the form again, go through form lines. Got to assess not just the last form line, but also previous form lines as well, and look at draws. There's quite a bit that goes into form studying. Takes a lot of time, as you would know as well.
Yeah, it's Andrew.
It's an 8-hour job.
But I spoke to somebody the other day, and they spoke to me on the race course. And they said, I saw that on the show you didn't select my horse to win. Can you explain why? And the real
because it's going to be slow. That's right.
the truth of the matter is, because we've got deadlines, the race card comes out, say, on a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. That race card's got to go to the publishers and got to go to the websites by 5 o'clock. So you've got 2 hours to put the whole thing together. Then
you've got no form studying there.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to, you haven't got the time. But then Friday comes and Saturday comes and you've got time to look and you think, oh my gosh, how did I miss this? Or why didn't I tip that? Or it can change. So it is a big job. It is a big job. And I think all publications, Winning Form, Computer Form, Sporting Post, Gold Circle Race Card, are all under a bit of pressure because of the time, and it's a pity that we don't publish the books a bit later, but I know we need to get them out as quick as possible.
Get them out, yeah.
So, it's hard to study form. So, okay, so that's the way you do it. Has possible racehorse ownership ever appealed to you or ever crossed your mind?
Yes, I definitely would love to get involved into racehorse ownership one day, and hopefully in the foreseeable future, maybe next year or so. But it's definitely something that I'm really keen on, and just owning a horse. And I know people say that the feeling is indescribable and it's something so special, and that's something I want to experience. So I would love to, and especially if you get into it with a few mates of yours, good friends, it's always more enjoyable that way.
The boy's going the right way.
Different.
Going the right way.
Oh. So, talking of good friends, besides Andrew and I, talking of good friends, in fact, I'll come back to good friends in a moment. Just on that racehorse ownership note, as I've said it on TV, I've said it on podcasts, I've said it as often as I can, and I've mentioned it to Raheel off air, and you've owned racehorses before I was born, probably. Okay, not that old. Nowadays, you can take a 5% share, 10% share. It's a very affordable way of owning horses. You don't have to spend millions and hundreds of thousands of rands.
Yeah, no, South Africa syndicates have never really taken off, but you look at Australia and in England, you get, I think the horse that won the Melbourne Cup this year had about 15 or 16 owners, and they're having fun.
Yeah, they are having fun.
They own a little share, but the Melbourne Cup is worth 8 million Australian. That's 80 million South African. So if you own just the leg, you're a millionaire. Yeah.
Let's go back to friends, good friends, and I want you to talk to us about probably your best friend, and who is no doubt a guy by the name of Ryan. And tell us about him. What does he do? Where does he live? How come he loves racing? Where did you meet him?
So I've met him when he used to stay in North Beach. So that's about 11 years ago. I was really small back then, and I met him through there. We used to play in the park together. So there's a park across where I stay, and we used to play there every day during holidays, from the morning till the evening, till the sun sets. We're in the park. Different games. He's a lover of rugby, so he enjoys that. Soccer, cricket, and through that, he also went to day chess. He also went to Clarence as well.
Okay.
So we have a lot in common. We love horse racing. We're good friends, and we've stayed in touch since then, and it's good.
Ryan's family and your family, parents, do they obviously know each other? I mean, do they guys socialise together? I mean, it's not just you're friends with Ryan's family and he's friends with your family. The families get on well as well.
Yeah, we all know each other from staying in North Beach. I don't think our parents have quite seen each other unless they in a shopping mall or something.
Okay.
Yeah, not much socializing between them, but more so between Ryan and I. And he gets along well with my family, and my parents love him. They he's my older brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's absolutely amazing.
He's doing powerlifting or something.
Yes. He wants
is that
to.
why you hang out with him?
Yes. He can beat anyone up.
I knew there was something going on.
Yeah, he got. I've also got a secret bodyguard. Nobody knows about.
I know who he is.
Do you know who he is?
You better lose some weight too. Yeah.
Who, me or him?
Both.
No, he doesn't need to. You're thinking of the wrong person. I always have a joke. Nobody knows who he is. My wife knows who he is because He's our bodyguard. And a very good friend and a wonderful racing lover. He knows who he is. Okay. Let's talk about your parents in support of you in your... We know that your main concern and your main priority is studying to do your business management course. But part-time now, this job that you've got is a part-time job, and you're now involved in racing, and you're doing presenting, and you're still learning, and you're growing very fast, which is fantastic. Are your parents supportive of you? I mean, it may be a stupid question, but I know your mom's not wild about horse racing, but your dad is in love with it. So how's that going?
My parents are fully 100% behind me through everything since I started with Clock in the Gallop. You know, my mom is my biggest fan, my biggest supporter, even though she doesn't enjoy the game. But she's my number one fan through everything that I did in life and continue to do. And I thank her for that. I'm appreciative for my family, my parents and my brother. They're my pillar of strength, and they're behind me 100%. And wherever the road takes me, they will be there with me.
You're going to say, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, oh, goodness me, how soft and mushy and all that nonsense. But how heartwarming is it to just hear, in today's world where everyone's cross and everyone's stressed and everyone's fighting for survival and trying to make a buck, and it's tough out there. Isn't it wonderful to actually sit and hear a story, a happy story, a comforting, warm, fuzzy story? Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, it is, definitely. I mean,
So you have got feelings then?
not really. I was just listening on the radio.
We love you, brother.
Listening on the radio, the bloke chopped up his girlfriend and stuck her head in the fridge. So that would be nice.
On the radio,
Yeah, well,
news. I mean, look at that. What a horrific story to hear. There was that.
sick puppies.
Yeah, there was also that terrible story about the gentleman in the guest house or something. They got into an altercation with the police. We always hear horrific stories, and that's why I say to you, Raheel, it's lovely to hear your happy story, your warm, fuzzy story about how it all started.
Well, let's get away from warm, fuzzy things now. Tell me something. Would you you're working on television at the moment? Would you have a go at that?
Look, I wouldn't say no, but I'd give it a shot, see how it goes, and then take it from there. I'm not so big on it, but it's worth giving a shot, I'd say.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about like Alistair Cohn. I mean, he's got his just desserts now that he's commentating in Dubai. I mean, he's different class.
Yeah, that's a good question. I see that we had Devon back yesterday. I mean, we've got really good commentators in the country and in the province. So, but Devon started again yesterday. You were quite happy with his production?
No, he was, yeah. He just needs to smooth his pronunciation out, but I think he was pretty good.
Good. It's Gravel. Yes. So it certainly is nice. He could be an addition to the team, to the fabulous team that we already have. But interesting question for him because I thought of it at one stage, but I could never hold.
Didn't you finish second?
I did. I ran second to Alistair Cohn when we had that competition.
Oh, okay. Well, it must have been a dirty second.
I mean, that's not.
There's only two of us that entered.
Yeah, still, that's a dirty second.
No, I did. And when Clyde Basil was in charge with Graham Hawkins of the commentators, and they asked me to have a go at it, and I just, it's amazing when you. Some people if
you can't punt and commentate at the same time. You'll be throwing your keys out the window.
You can, and you've got to hold your emotions, which I think I could never do. That's the problem. I could never concentrate, especially if I had a horse running in the race. I wouldn't be able to concentrate, and I wouldn't do it justice. That's why I backed away. And
I think we all know someone who does that really well.
yeah, absolutely. Sheldon, when you talk to Sheldon, and we've had him on our podcast, he does it well. I mean, he gets excited, and we've spoken about his commentating style, and he gets excited, and he absolutely loves the game, and he's good for the game. But yeah, he does it well. I mean, you can hear the excitement in his voice, but I couldn't to do it, to be quite honest. But also, when I was talking to Clyde Basil, you get people that might be good actors, but they hate singing. You might get Well, the point I'm saying is, if you ask me to choose, do I want to be commentator or a TV presenter? I'd take TV presenting any day of the week. I love enjoying, and I love doing TV presenting, but I don't see myself loving commentating.
No, commentating is it's a special skill to actually remember names, put colours to horses, and not stumble over your words and halfway through the commentary.
That's why I say
it's not an easy game.
It's not an easy game, you know. And people are also always quick to criticise. It's easy to make a mistake, and from a presenter's point of view too, and from a tipper's point of view, and from a journalist's point of view, it's easy to make a mistake. And everyone criticises. Oh, he called that horse a filly and not it's a colt. It happens, you know. A commentator may stumble and call the wrong name. It happens. We're humans. We're not robots sitting in those positions. But to close off the commentating and presenting discussion, I don't see myself enjoying something like that. Presenting any day of the week. Presenting and hosting any day. Commentating not for me.
Yeah, well, you talk enough shite anyway.
Now, let's quickly talk about... Last question for you, unless you think of another one. You talked about COVID times. It was a long time when we had nothing to do. Would you say when you really got interested more into the racing, or what did you do to pass the time during COVID? That's the question I'm asking you.
Sure, no disrespect to Swedish racing, but I was so bored that I actually had to watch that.
What's our friend's name? Viking Harry.
Viking Harry. Harry Cheadle.
Harry Cheadle, yeah.
Oh, he went to the Belgian High.
Yeah, we've had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
A colourful, flavoursome chap, and good guy. But it is tough to. I think we all resorted to that Swedish racing when there was no racing. And so you just watch racing and just pass the time, I suppose.
I enjoyed it because it was all that was there. There was some Australian racing, and then I think UK came back before South African racing did come back. So I paid attention to that a bit, and some of the results were shocking.
And then of course, it would have been nice family time too, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Got to spend, because normally when you at school or you studying, your parents just work and they come home, you just see them for the short bit, you sleep, same story the next day, and basically only the weekends. And then so COVID did strengthen our family bond a bit, and so that was good. I guess that's one of the good things for some families.
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, and racing, I got more into it during COVID times, and it's definitely good.
There are one or two good things that have come out of that COVID lockdown time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what did come out of the COVID lockdown is Michael Clower. Remember Michael? He used to write for us. He used to do the Cape racing for us. He wrote a book.
Okay.
I've been pestering for him to write one. He wrote a novel. So, Riding for a Fall. It's just come out. You can buy it on Amazon. It's a bit of a Dick Francis thing. It was pretty good, yeah.
Okay, geez, Michael Clower. Okay, brilliant, man. I must better make a note of that. What is the book called?
Riding for a Fall.
Okay.
Nice name.
Yeah.
Nice name.
Now, let's talk, gentlemen, quickly about news, because I think we've done our time with Rahiel. Couple of news, then we're going to a couple of news items. Then we're going to tell you that Nicky Roebuck is going to be our guest next week on the podcast. He's probably going to be our guest, and we'll just confirm that. For racing, they've been granted their license.
Yeah, not before time. Yeah. But I don't know. You don't know the politics that go on around at the top echelons of racing. But so I see there's some very strange sort of restrictions that they've put on the license.
So for racing is got their license, and it's things are happening. That's what I'm saying. Things are happening. Claverflay Stud, they're looking for a stud farm manager. You want to go and be a stud farm manager, or are you still learning about the breeding side?
You still got to get there. Still early days.
You don't want to be a stud farm manager.
A lovely farm like Claverflay.
I know, but it's the pressures.
The pressures are big.
If you don't know what you're doing, you're dead in the water.
Alistair Cohn, he's in Dubai and loving it. There was a great article in the Sporting Post.
Yeah, I knew he would do well. He's eloquent and he's sharp. So.
Rahiel, have you ever been to a horse sale before, a horse auction?
No. I've basically only... This last week was my first time at Sommerfeld. Enjoyed it. And I think that's about it. I've just been to the race course. No stables or sales or stud farms or anything of that sort.
Okay. Well, we've
Just
got
keep your hands in your pocket and out of the pub, and you'll be fine.
out of that.
Pub.
What's that got to do with it?
You get fired up, and then your hands come out your pocket.
We've got lots of.
And
work
you
to do.
regret it the next day. Yeah.
We've got lots, at the sales you're talking
Yes,
about.
man. What
Oh.
else are we talking about?
Okay, the sales. Yeah, he's right. Keep your hands in your pocket and out of the pub. Quite right. Although we bought a horse at the sales many years ago, under the influence, and he turned out quite a nice little horse, rocking in the snow.
In the snow. I'll tell you a funny story. There was a bloke who used to be the racing editor of the Daily News. I forget his name now, but he used to like a few jars. And Chris Smith used to have a sale up at Maritzburg at the showground, horses in training, and he had a few, and then he put his hand up, and they all thought, well, he's bidding for someone else. So eventually they knocked it down to him, and he ran into the ring shouting, "I bought a horse! I bought a horse!" He couldn't pay for it. It was a horse called Radio 5. I think it went to Binny Smith. Other people bailed him out, and it won a few races. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's there's so many stories about how to buy horses. I mean, it's amazing. There's no rules. There's no rules when it comes to confirmation and things like that. You obviously try and get to as close as possible as you can to the perfect specimen, but there's at the end of the day no rules. So why I asked you about the sales is we've got a lot to do with you. We've got to take you to horse sales. We've got to get you to the stables. We've got to get you to the various vet practices and just get you and, Ryan and those that are interested to see as much of horse racing as we can. And why I mentioned sales is there's a 2-year-old sale this week on Saturday in Gauteng, and I believe there's some nice horses up there.
Well, you're going to see them, aren't you?
I am indeed going to see them. We travel up to Gauteng tomorrow morning and back on Saturday night. I'm not so wild about driving at night, but it is what it is.
Well, Gramps is driving, so you're fine.
Yeah, so we should be all right. It's the last sale of the year, so it's the last chance for the owners and racing enthusiasts to go and buy a horse.
Yeah, so we need some new blood in the game.
It'll come. It'll certainly come.
The horse population's dropping.
Are you going to buy a horse, Ryan?
No, he's just going to talk. That's really funny.
My wife sometimes watches this podcast, so I better say no, because if she knows I'm wanting to buy another horse, there might be, what do you call it, the German sausage?
Yes, no, the Afrikaans sausage. Divorce.
Divorce, the Afrikaans sausage, the divorce, okay. But no, to answer your question, I'm not going to buy a horse. I might take a little share in a horse. And of course, we invite anybody out there that's watching, and you've heard us talk about taking shares in horses. Contact us and let's get you involved in the sport of horse racing as an owner, because wow, it's fun. So no, to answer your question, not buying, but hopefully we'll be taking a share. Breeding season, it's always a good time, it's a busy time for them, but I've seen some lovely pictures of the foals and the mares and foals, and some really good
Yeah, it's an up and down for the breeders. You have your mishaps and things like that, but I think generally I haven't heard any horror stories.
I think it's been good so far. Features, there's 2 feature races. The names of the races escape me, but there are 2 feature races at Cape Town this weekend, so that's to look forward to.
Yeah, well, the Cape season's starting off now, so so keep an eye on them.
We've got 3 horses. We've got 3 horses, or at least 3 of us here that are going to give you a horse or 2 for the weekend, and then we're going to wrap it up. Do you remember your 2 horses that you'd like to...
I was just trying to work them out.
Yeah, I've written it down for you.
I'm a head gardener.
Yes.
I think that'll win this time.
Right.
And Faustino in the last. The form is not all that great, but I saw him at Ashburton on Tuesday, and he looked $1 million, so I think he might run a decent race. Okay,
so Faustino and head gardener for Andrew. Those are the 2 horses to watch out for at Hollywood Bets Gravel on Sunday. Raheel, you've got 1 for us. Who's that we must keep an eye on?
Impartial comes up in the lucky last, hopefully ends up in the number 1.
Well, there you got the swinger.
Okay, is yours Faustino also in the last? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully. You can ignore the last run on the poly track. Better on the turf. Definitely going to be a big runner with Rachel aboard.
Okay, so there we go. Andrew could be quite right. Impartial and Faustino swingers. So Faustino and head gardener for Andrew. Impartial for Raheel. And I'm giving you 2 horses. One that's the obvious. Running Rifles looks like can win. And Chewbacca, I was certainly impressed with Chewbacca's last win, so I wouldn't be shocked if he had to win again. Those are our horses that you can keep an eye on over the weekend. It's been absolutely fantastic, Raheel, to have you with us, and welcome to the team, and welcome to racing, and just thanks for your involvement, thanks for your passion, and the only advice I can give you is whoever's keen or interested to listen to you about the story of horse racing, tell it to them, because we need to spread the word about how wonderful this game really is.
Yeah, it's been wonderful being with you, Warren, and yourself, Andrew Harrison. Been good. I've heard Andrew Harrison can be grumpy, but he's been good so far.
Well behaved, you see. Well done.
Yes, definitely. I feel a lot more youngsters need more exposure into the game to get more involved. And as you mentioned earlier, just having a bet, I think that's key. You know, even because you just need 6 rand, have a bet on the tote, and I think people need that sort of feeling of the horse running, and even if the horse wins or is coming close to victory, you know, just that feeling, that burst of adrenaline, something that's going to get people more interested, and I urge people to give it a try. The race course is open to the public. Just come on Sunday. Come to the races with your family. Spend a few hours there. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, you gave it a try, and
absolutely.
What you have nothing to lose at the end of the day, everything to gain. So it's worth a try.
Absolutely.
He's going to go a long way, this boy.
He is going to go a long way. Absolutely is. But he says you're not so grumpy. I don't know about that. I'll have to have a word with him.
I think maybe it's because I'm here today. He's
well
behaved.
behaved. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep myself under control.
Maybe your good manners and is rubbing off on him. We love him. Oh, that's what I wanted to say.
What?
Because we were talking about the podcast and you being grumpy, blah blah blah. And what I wanted to say is, although your retirement is coming up soon, I haven't broken it to you yet, but I don't think you're going to be retiring from the podcast. So you're just going to have to get used to that. The Thursday mornings are booked for the rest of your life. Andy, lovely to have you, lovely to be with you, and of course all your years that you've put blood, sweat and tears into the racing game, we thank you. And we'll do, maybe what we'll do is when you officially retire, we'll do a retirement podcast for you, but as I said,
I'll be missing.
Yeah, you're
missing in action.
We'll do it when you're not here, but we will be here because you're firmly part of the podcast team, and we don't want you to go anywhere. Friends, thank you for your time, thank you for your support, and we appreciate everything that you do for us, and nothing left to say except that Sunday we're racing at Hollywood Bets Greyville, Saturday's the Sales, Saturday's Kenilworth Racing, Friday of course is Fairview Racing, plenty of betting opportunities. Punt well, be safe, that's the most important thing, and as always, we'll see you next week with Nicky Roebuck, if we're able to get him at a convenient time, and as always, we'll see you from the number 1 box.
Thank you.